All right, family, welcome back to another edition of the STEM Files, where we highlight the best and brightest in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. With tonight's episode, we chat with Brother McPherson Aldonza, solar power entrepreneur, on how solar energy is one of the keys for true independence. Tune in for more after this. All right. Again, family, this is the STEM Files, the voice of STEM talent in Black culture. Welcome back again for another exciting installment. My name is Brother Jabril Muhammad. I am your co-host, otherwise known as Jabrilliant Engineer. I am a civilian mechanical engineer, focusing on naval ship fluid systems with a background in material science and engineering, focusing on failure analysis and general materials principles. I'm joined by my co-host and a fellow star, Brother Tariq Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac. What's going on, big bro?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. This is the STEM Files, as Jabril mentioned, the voice of STEM talent and Black culture.
We can't hear you. We can't hear you.
Okay.
Yep. Hold on, family. A couple technical difficulties right off the bat. All right, while continuing on, so my brother Tariq Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac. Oh, here he is.
Can you guys hear me now?
There you go.
I can hear you.
All right. Excellent. So like I was saying, my name is Tariq Muhammad, aka Tariq Cardiac. I am a biomedical research scientist with a concentration in cardiovascular pathobiology, which is pretty much the study, the research and the scientific study of how diseases form in the heart and in the blood vessels. Can't wait for tonight's show.
Awesome, family. Again, like we always say, the show is not about us. You see us, you may get tired of it every week. It's about who we bring on the show to give guidance, to give insight into their respective fields and add value to those watching us tonight. So without further ado, we want to introduce to some and hopefully reintroduce to others our brother McPherson Aldonza, solar power entrepreneur. How you doing today, beloved?
I'm doing great, beloved. Peace, brothers. I'm honored to be here. Thank you, guys.
Yes, sir. Awesome.
Excellent.
We just want to get right into it. Just tell us a bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of just start building from there.
Thank you, brothers. First thing I'd probably say, I'm most important thing. I'm my roles in my life. I'm a proud husband and father to 3. I'm a son, uncle. I was born in the. I'm here in Long Beach, California. I'm based out of Long Beach, California. I was born in the 84 square mile island of St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands. And in 1989, my dad moved. Can you hear me?
All right, family. We'll apologize for the technical difficulties while we get our brother back in.
Hello. You can hear me, brothers?
Yeah, we can hear you. Sorry about that.
Yeah, so in terms of my quick personal bio, I've been here in California 30 years. Been here. My dad moved us here, and I married a Long Beach girl. Been here ever since. And I've been in the solar industry essentially since a little after 2009-10, during the Great Recession. I'm a little different. This is a second career for me. I worked a whole career in the corporate life, white collar sector, so to speak, in management and corporate trainer and operations manager for different big companies. And then during the Great Recession of 2008, when many of us were on unemployment line, President Obama came in, and to his credit, he had passed the Green Deal, where he had a lot of incentives for green and renewable energy education. So I always had a peripheral interest in solar. So I told my wife at the time, I told my wife, she's still my wife. At the time, I told her, hey, I think I'm gonna check out this solar thing. Got nothing to lose, And I took my first class. My first instructor, shout out to David Mack. He lit the fire. I said, man, I love this. And then in the course of me, so I went voracious. I went ham. I wrapped up probably about 12 different solar renewable energy, OSHA, all industry related certifications. About a year, I racked up about 10 or 12 of them. I was a man possessed. But the biggest revelation for me was in the course of me doing that, I realized that solar is really a subdivision of the electrical trade, so to speak. It's construction. I know we think of it in the tree hugger thing, and it is that too, and we'll get into some of the details. But where the rubber meets the road, it's construction, and it's specifically electrical construction. More specifically, it's power generation through a non-mechanical means, which we'll get into. It's essentially solid state technology, but yeah, and since then, so as far as my career, I basically started from the beginning, from the bottom. I here in California, like I was saying, in terms of the macro picture, 1 out of 2 every solar panels in the United States is still in California. Again, there are other states that are booming right now for different market reasons. But I say that to say, California, we have tons and tons of guys and girls who work in solar and in industry and who have skills. A lot of big companies and even manufacturing companies are based there. So it's essentially ground zero as far as the industry. So I was able to take advantage of that. I started off as a volunteer. There's an organization I heard that's very well known called Grid Alternatives. Shout out to Brother Adewale. And basically, it's a nonprofit that allows people who want to learn solar, whether just for interest or they want to get in industry, you're in school, they essentially give free solar systems to low-income people, and we go in as volunteers. So I started there. I was in school. I got my first job at some residential companies. We used to average a install a day. So I've literally done hundreds of residential systems. And then I just kept working my way up, became a journeyman electrician, became certified project manager, all of those titles, commissioning engineer. And I worked my way from all the large residential companies you've heard of to doing large commercial scale. And then the pinnacle of my career was I've commissioned close to 1 gigawatt of solar farms, solar on the bringing solar onto the market in terms of I've commissioned tons of 120 megawatt solar farms around the country. It's been good to me, man. So I'll end it there.
Wow. Wow. Tariq, you want to start off or you want me to go?
Yeah. Well, one of the things that we do on the STEM files, well, first and foremost, before we continue, we are also broadcasting live on the National Network View platform. This is a Black-owned news media outlet designed to bring you the truth the way we should have it. So definitely check out National Network View, otherwise known as NNV. On our Saturday episodes, we broadcast simultaneously on the STEM Files platform and their platform. So definitely check them out throughout the week. One of the things we like to do on the show is to break down terms. We don't like going throughout the show and some people not understanding, what we're talking about. So break down the term solar. What is solar energy? What is solar power? What is a solar panel? How do they function? What are they made of? And so forth.
So I'm glad you said that. In fact, just show and tell.
Okay. Yes, sir. A little show and tell going.
Yes.
So this is a monocrystalline. Pretty small. This is a hand.
Bring it towards the center. There you go.
There you go.
All right.
There you go. Yep.
To give you a copy of the scale.
Right.
This is also monocrystalline, but this is thin film. Right now.
Yes,
neither of these units are the units we put on your house or business. Let's say that.
All right.
So we'll get into it later in terms of one of the things I do. I recently I manufacture. I started really just as a hobby, manufacturing and building solar generators. Ones that are portable. I mean, they're manufactured. You go to Amazon, Google, you can buy them. But I use it as a tool to teach my son and young people electrical engineering. So, for instance, I used to join 100 Black Men, Long Beach chapter. Shout out Long Beach chapter, 100 Black Men. And the reason I mention that is because we do mentoring. That's the primary focus of that group. So because of COVID, we weren't able to do it in person, but I'm creating a module to teach our young boys specifically, the trades and understanding electrical engineering and engineering in general. And specifically, we're going to be building portable generators. So to answer your question, beloved, so let's get into the language. I'll put this down. So the proper terminology for this, because solar just refers to the sun, right?
Right.
93 million miles away. It has about another 4.5 billion. Ooh, 4.5 billion. Can you guys see me?
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
go
Yes,
ahead,
sir.
go ahead.
Okay.
Hey,
Um, yeah, your screen. I'm seeing something else, and I'm not seeing you guys.
No, go ahead. Keep going.
Oh, okay, I got you.
That's just a picture, yeah.
All right. So in any event, the proper term for those what you colloquially referred to as a solar panel, a solar module, those are photovoltaic because there's different types of solar power, quote unquote. So there's photovoltaic refers to two words: photo meaning photons that we get from the earth traveling from the sun to the earth, and then voltaic voltage. So the reason I make a distinction, there's also a different type of solar generation that we will refer to as solar thermal. And solar thermal refers to, can be two things. It's normally referred to solar hot water. So you can take some PVC pipes, put on your roof, run water through them, and literally, as I mentioned, it's just the heat from the sun, warm it up. And people have those type of systems that you could purchase, manufactured to warm up your swimming pools or parts of the Caribbean, like where I was born in St. Croix. The building code is every new home has to have solar thermal. So you don't use gas to warm your hot water. You actually heat it through, they look like solar panels, but they essentially will have PVC or copper pipes facing the sun, being heated by the sun, and it's providing hot water for your home or business. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So there's also ways on a utility scale you guys may have heard of where you can use, again, solar thermal, where there's in California we have this tower that was kind of infamous, where it has all these millions of mirrors surrounding it. It's a huge tower, and these mirrors are all pointing towards it, all concentrating this heat, and that heat then warms up this kind of molten salt, and then that molten salt is a heat source that creates steam that turns a turbine like a traditional any other power generating sources. Because if we're talking about a hydro, with the exception, those are gas turbine, diesel, even the biofuel ones. Essentially, they all do the same thing. It's the electricity is created by having a mechanical source that's usually powered by steam. So that's solar thermal. What we're talking about here is solar photovoltaics. Those panels, the ones you see traditionally in a home, they come essentially in two sides. We call them 60 cell. Traditional solar panel that we would put on a residential home is 39 inches by 65 inches. And in each of these modules, you have the individual wafers. So that's made with silicone. There's a doping process. It's a whole chemical process in terms of creating the individual cells. And then we take the cells, and then the cells are wired in series in parallel. And depending on how many cells you have, so each cell might produce 1 volt, for instance, or some milliamp. So you essentially take and aggregate them and wire them up in series in parallel, connecting them to get the required voltage and current you want. Does that make sense? So when I started in industry, the first solar cell, as we know, was created by Bell Laboratories in 1955. Of course, the government and NASA had the first dibs in terms of development, as most technology starts in the military or government, and then it transfers into the open marketplace. So going back as early as the 70s, I've seen solar modules from the 70s. Those modules, when I got in the industry in the 2010-ish, 11, standard panel module for your home would be like 175 watts. And that was considered powerful. I remember when we got the first 200, 250, we were like, whoa. Today, if you got a solar system from any solar company, on average, a solar module wattage would be probably about 330, 320, minimum 310. And back then, reaching 300 watts for solar panels was like the holy grail. Commercial space, we use the bigger ones. They're 72 cell. Those are over 6 feet tall. Those can reach 4. And then just recently as an industry, we've reached as high as 500 watt modules. So we're still not even close, Brother Tariq and Jabil, to even accessing what we can harness. Because you guys may have heard this quote, in 1 hour of sunlight, just 1 hour of sunlight hitting the earth at any given time, we get more power. I think it's 100,000, and I should have done my homework, so I apologize for not getting the numbers. But we get enough power to power the entire earth like 1 million times over.
Wow.
So even the most efficient solar panel we have today, which is about 25%. So basically, when the sun hits the Earth, we get hit with 1,000 watts of power per square meter. We're not even close to being able to harness that. So our highest efficiencies were in the 22. There have been some that have hit like 25 in the laboratory, but I'm one of those guys, like, I'm in the show me state, because what we call standard test conditions, STC, is very different from the real world. But the technology is getting there. But the bigger technology gold rush is in battery storage, which I know we'll get into. But I'll let you. Did that answer your question, or I'll let you?
That you broke it down perfectly. I love how you talked about the solar thermal, the photovoltaic, relating to the sun and taking the photons and turning over directly into voltage and power and so forth. You mentioned a couple things for those who didn't know. So you talked about circuits in series and parallel. So when you have a circuit or you have something aligning in series, all that is your resistors or your components are literally aligned in a loop. And it's a continuous comes around, connects, thereby closing your circuit, allowing the current to pass through, right? If it's in parallel, you have a source line that these the components come off of, literally parallel to one another, right? To where as though allowing you certain redundancy, so that if you lose a resistor, if you lose a capacitor specific component, you don't necessarily lose all of your power in your entire circuit. So it allows you to have some level of redundancy versus a single loop series circuit, which if you have a break in that, you kind of lose all power in that circuit.
Tariq, you sure you still need me? I think you got.
No.
I'm joking. I love it, beloved.
I'm coming back to you, but I just you took me back to junior year digital electronics. You took me back to junior.
No, year. I love it. I'm teasing.
No, see, this is
question though.
Yeah. No, go ahead, bro.
No, I'm sorry. Like I had to go in because I'm like,
please stop apologizing. I love it. Love it.
This is, and we talk about this all the time because, like, when we have like people on the show who match our respective career sets, we tend to get hyped more so than certain others. Yeah, in other episodes. So Jabril's a mechanical engineer, so this is how he's gonna get when we talk about stuff like this. So just get used to it.
Oh, I love it. No, please. Go ahead, beloved.
So please, I want you to unpack something. You mentioned something we talked about a little bit before we went live. Efficiency. So energy efficiency, right? We mentioned how, your energy source is only as good as how much you're able to turn over. Raw power is nice, but if I can only utilize it so much, how good is it? And what area or sphere of activity is it the best? So what really determines from a solar perspective in terms of photovoltaics, what determines the efficiency level or the actual absorption that can then be turned over to usable power?
Okay, so I love the question. My wife always admonishes me that, and you guys already get a preview, I can go there and take it. So I'm gonna try and be disciplined in my answer, hit the bullet points, but it's going to require me to get in the weeds, right? I'm talking to two scientists, so let's go into science. So here's the thing: our civilization is based off, our usage of electricity. You guys are both obviously aware of Thomas Edison and Tesla, the AC/DC wars.
Right.
Shout out to I'm embarrassed now. Thomas Edison, the brother who should be giving credit for.
Lewis Latimer.
Thank you, beloved, Lewis Latimer. Yeah. Shout out to the ancestor. Okay, let's not get it twisted. So.
No, we ain't gonna do that on here. Yeah, bro.
Exactly. So the man who really wrote all of Edison's patents. But shout out to Tesla. Tesla is an inspiration to all of us. How could he not be? And he ended up being right. So the first thing to start with, to answer your point in terms of the best way to answer that question is talk about electrical generation, right?
Right.
So let's take solar out of the equation, because I said the first solar cell that we use, as we know, was manufactured in 1955 by Bell Labs. So let's go pre-1955. Anywhere in the country, I need to power a home, a light, a business, all the loads that are utilized by our grid, national, international. Well, what are my sources? I could have a nuclear power plant. I could have a geothermal. I could have a hydro. I could have a wind. I could have any of the other, what we call carbon fuel-based ones, whether it's diesel or gas or natural gas, so on and so forth. What all of those have in common, including the two, what we consider renewable engines, geothermal and wind, what those all have in common that photovoltaic is unique from, beloved, is that all of those require some form of mechanical motion to create electrical current. Does that make sense?
Right.
You have
Yes,
all of them starts with like an alternator in your car. Your car, internal combustion engine, it takes the fuel, the spark plug lights it, it essentially to control explosion, right? In the cylinder, creating mechanical motion, moves, right? And then that mechanical motion, some of that mechanical motion is harnessed, turning a turbine.
Right.
That's essentially just a smaller version of the Hoover Dam or any other type of electrical. It's a big magnet with a core, and then you have our windings, and then we spin it, and then it releases electricity. But the point is, they all require some kind of mechanical power to create the electricity. So in a wind turbine, we have the shaft, and we put the things on the end, and the wind turns it, and that creates a motion. Geothermal, we use the steam that's naturally coming out of the earth. Likewise, we harness the steam, we condense it, and put it where, again, to turn a turbine.
Right.
Nuclear, we're creating nuclear fission, boil water, super hot heat, turns a turbine. You guys follow me? All of those entail you turning a turbine, does it not?
Absolutely.
Okay, so photovoltaic is unique, and the beauty of it is in two ways. Now I'm putting my solar guy, I'm repping for my thing now. It's unique in two things. It doesn't require any mechanical motion. It's all solid state technology. From sun up to sundown, when sunlight hits, when those photons from the sun hits these cells on the back, it automatically will release. There we go. It will automatically release the electrical current, direct current. Again, solar panels, like batteries, only produce direct current, not alternating current. So these produce direct current. So this is solid state. I don't have to do any maintenance on anything mechanical, regardless of whatever the source that's creating that mechanical motion that we just referenced. Doesn't matter. Photovoltaic is unique in that it requires none of that. When these modules are built, there's not a solar panel you're going to buy in the United States or the world, that's for that matter, that's warranted for less than 25 years of production. They guarantee that. I personally done O&M, repaired and replaced modules that are over 30 years old, personally. So the truth is they're going to produce power for the next 40 plus years. What happens is a degradation. If you know anything about the sun, Jabril and Tariq, there is nothing you can build on the planet that the sun and the photons will not, and UV rays will not eventually degrade and destroy. Does that make sense? Yes, including solar panels. So even though when it's created, from the first time it hits sunlight, by definition, it starts to degrade. You can think of it like us, we're born to die, right? Our cells regenerate throughout the years, but eventually we come to a point where we're all going to expire. This physical body will expire. Make sense? I can analogize it that way. So solar panels have a unique thing that they're going to produce power for 40 years. They're warranted for 25 years, right? And that in and of itself, they use that just as a benchmark. The other most powerful thing in my mind, the potential of solar, is the scalability. I just showed you a 30 watt. The small one I showed you there is 100 watt. Tariq, if we have that zombie apocalypse or whatever, ICBM came, we're in a post-apocalyptic world. Both of you brothers could get these two solar panels, get a solar generator, get some lithium batteries. You can get an inverter, and you can essentially power anything you need. And more importantly, it's portable. By hand, you can build on your truck. I build ones you can do, the ones that it can be wheeled. Some people do it on hitches. The point is, you can scale it to whatever size you need. That's the potential. Because can I say, hey, Tariq, brother Tariq, and Jabril, let's go build a nuclear power plant in my backyard? Can we do that?
No, sir.
Absolutely not. Can I say, hey, brothers, let's build a diesel generator to power my home? That's kind of a trick question. No, you can't. But essentially, a gas generator is essentially, when you buy a generator, that's what it's doing. It's you're taking gas, pouring diesel gas, creating mechanical energy, and it produces the level of efficiency for that compared to photovoltaic, when that sunlight hits those panels, boom, you're off to the races. Our efficiencies are in the 90s. The difference in solar panel manufacturers, beloved, is that I'll give a name to one company. I'm not trying to advertise these companies, but this is a scientific observation. The company SunPower was who I worked for 3 years. They were the benchmark in the industry in terms of the highest efficiency panels, and more importantly, the lowest degradation. Because that degradation I mentioned, the sun, beloved, it's warranted for 25 years. When I came in the industry, every year, the sun, your solar panel was sitting on your roof, it would degrade about 1%, right? Then they got it down where it degraded about 75%. I'm not 75, excuse me. It would degrade about 1%, right? And now it's kind of a benchmark. So you lose 1% of essential output power every year. So in 20 years, your solar panel would be about 80% of its original output capacity. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
And then now SunPower, what they had against their competitors, theirs would only degrade like 2.25%, a quarter of a percent, not a full percent. So that was really the difference in the solar manufacturers. People argue in terms of the manufacturing processes, and to be sure that some panels we like more than others in terms of the workmanship, quality, the aesthetics. I'm high on aesthetics, really high on aesthetics for my customers. But essentially, all the panels that are manufactured that are allowed to be sold in the U.S. are all top tier modules, right? And
Right.
to be truthful, in a global marketplace, yes, if you're sending stuff to Africa and the so-called developed countries, sometimes they get the throwaway stuff. But in the United States, that's not really an issue. So my point, to go back, scalability, because I can build a solar generator using a 100-watt panel that can carry my TV, my internet, my light, whatever you want, depending on how large the inverter we build it and how many batteries you want. I can build a solar system to power your home. I can build one to power a neighborhood or a couple homes. Or in my case, with my experience, I built the megawatt solar farms we built, brothers. Those powered 30,000 homes. So, and again, there's no high heat transfer. Not in all of those. There's obviously the existential, hazard is electrical. We're producing electrical generation, so you have to respect what current and voltage can do to you and your body, and it will need a milliamp to stop your heart. So we always respect that, and we take the safety precautions, so on and so forth. But to answer your question, brother, as far as efficiencies, where we're going to right now, the best use of solar is to match it with storage. I know I'm going to shut up and let you ask the question and tell me if that answers your question, but I need to explain one thing. I'll just give a quick caveat and I'll give you the floor. The difference between grid-tied solar systems, grid-tied with battery, and off-grid battery, because I think that's the biggest that we need to go over. That will illuminate and give clarity when we talk about these different scales.
Okay. Well, it definitely answers you out about the efficiency level and where it is. And talking about it, I think in relation to the other types, I think was very key. Family, I must admit, I'm getting upset. We are literally halfway through the show. We've gotten so many gems, and we talked about how before the show goes by so fast. We get so much content going. But it's been a pleasure so far. We're just going to keep it going. Family, we are live right via NNV, National Network View, as well as the STEM Files on Facebook. Follow us at the STEM Files on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the STEM Files on YouTube. We are your brilliant engineer and Tariq Cardiac every Thursday and Saturday, 6 p.m. We are kicking it as the voice of STEM talent in Black culture. I got to give a shout out. We have a question in the comments. Our previous guest, Dr. Gladys.
Man, I wanted to do that. No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was a molecular biologist. She has a question in the chat, coming from a whole different career field, but given a question. So we mentioned a lot of different terms. We're talking about the industrial application, efficiency. She asked, how would you introduce these concepts to youth and at what age?
Great question. I think so. I mentioned earlier about me joining, recently become a member of Long Beach, 100 Black Men in Long Beach, and us creating some modalities to teach what I like about that particular organization, the specific goal is mentoring young men. So we take it from age 9, we mentor them through undergrad, right? And then when they become legal adults, and they can join as an actual member.
Right.
So that stuff I do organically with my son and the young boys in my sphere, but I wanted to take it beyond. So to answer your questions, just my wife is in education. My wife's getting her second master's right now in education and counseling. She's adjunct professor. She taught every level of education, right? Preschool and up. And what I learned from her and all her colleagues in our sphere in terms of using the education vernacular is that our young boys, our boys and men in general are kinesthetic learners. We learn with our hands.
Right.
So one of the things I'm doing, so I will teach a principle in terms of Ohm's law or what a circuit is. Every circuit has an electrical power source. It has a load. It has a path for the electrons. It has a switch to turn on and off the switch. And then I use analogies from a flashlight to radio to your home and showing them that a circuit is a circuit. An electrical circuit is the electrical circuit is the electrical circuit. The only thing that changes is the scale, right?
Right.
So you teach that, but then you give them something to say, hey, let's build this. So one of the things, let me show you here, we teach our boys and girls to build batteries. So this is a
there you go. Yep.
18650 battery cell. And again, we get into nerd stuff. There's 2 basic chemistries they use. This is, nickel, cobalt. We have lithium, NMC, nickel, manganese, cobalt, or oxide cobalt. There's different variations. Then there's lithium, iron phosphate, which is the other one. So one of the things we do, sis, and so I'm part of a larger network of guys and girls on YouTube. I'll mention one name, Jehu Garcia. His YouTube channel. He's probably in some ways the godfather, so to speak. He's based out in LA. Of guys like me, we purchase these cells. We actually get them partially used. We harvest them. We bring them back to life, and then we build batteries with them. So I would say anything you do with young people, do that. Get the actual panels. Get a small shed or something. Let's actually build. Make you can start as in 9, 8, 9, 10, teaching them basic principles. Because one of the misnomers people have becoming an electrician or electrical engineer and is the math, right? Everybody's scared of the math. And Jabril, you know this more. Well, both of you guys are both STEM majors in college and have more formal education than me. But when you come to understand, at least on the level of doing, if you can do multiplication, addition, subtraction, the youth answer the sisters' questions, they absolutely can get into this. And then there are resources, there's books, building batteries, solar generators, just stuff on so I think in the doing things, one of the things I'm working on at the network, we're going to be building some of these modalities and put them online. I mean, they have stuff on platforms like Udemy, nothing I've seen, at least so far, that's really worth your money. But the YouTube space has a lot of good stuff, as you guys well know. YouTube has, to buzzing curves, there's a lot of pseudoscience stuff, but there's a lot of good hands-on stuff too that you can basically teach a class on. Does that answer that question, brother?
Absolutely. I hope Bolding, you were thoroughly fed, and all those who took notes on that. Definitely, brother's been breaking it down wonderfully. Tariq, I know you've been sitting there very patient, and
I'm chomping at the bit, bro. Like, let me eat, bro.
Let me eat, man. It's a big buffet.
No, I'm gonna come from a question from the audience. So this I'm gonna say this is coming from the actual use of a solar panel for your home. When it gets really hot outside, does your house get really hot on the inside?
Okay, so I'm gonna answer. Well, that's a quick question. Yeah, actually, they're quite the opposite. Now, solar panels they release or produce direct current electricity. We take that direct current and we put it in what's called an inverter. And there's 2 main types of inverters. There's either a string inverter, which is the equipment we're going to hang on your wall, and we're going to aggregate all that DC panel, all those DC power from the panels on your roof. We pipe conduit, we run the wires through, and it goes to that string inverter on your wall. It takes a direct current, inverts it into alternating current, and then from there we continue piping. And the end goal is your main service panel, your breaker box, right? And your breaker box has all the different breakers in there. And there's a whole bunch of details I won't get into in terms of the ampacity and blah blah blah. But if your panels, we take a 2-pole space in there, we put a 2-pole breaker, whether it's a 20 amp, 30 amp, 40 amp, depending how big your system is, and then we backfeed the alternating current into your home. Does that make sense? So to answer your question about heating your home, it actually has quite the opposite effect. It's been shown that when you have solar panels, by definition, it's shading your roof. So it actually is an artificial shade. It does the opposite. The ironic thing is what's adversely affected by too high temperatures is actually the solar panel, because you guys know electricity does not like heat. That creates resistance in any electrical circuit. So it's a misnomer. People think the hotter it is, the better solar panels produce. That's not necessarily correct. Yep. What you want is sunlight. You want photon energy. You want clear, direct sunlight saturating those cells. You don't want heat necessarily. So to your point, Jabril, if I have 10 solar panels on a roof, nice, clear, perfect day in Colorado, high altitude, cool temperature, or I have those same panels in the Mojave Desert, which one's going to produce more?
In the previous,
Colorado, correct.
The former.
Colorado, the cooler, or in the Caribbean where you have ocean breezes that come through and passively cool the module, or in the solar farms, because when your panels are relatively close to your roof obviously creates ambient heat, and that heats it up. So to answer the question, no, it actually does the inverse.
Wow, that was dope.
Right. And Miss, and that was okay. No, good, bro. Now I was just gonna say, that was from one of our audience members, Mary Helen. Please, Miss Helen, if that answered your question, please drop a comment below. Let us know that was a good explanation. If not, we can go into a little further. But I had a question in terms of Sankofa. Well, let's go back a little bit. Let's go to the early part of your life. When did you start getting interested in science, or was this something that kind of happened, as you got older?
So glad you said that. So I think if we bring back to the biography, I always had a peripheral interest in it, but I think with a lot of us, for my personal biography, I'm the first generation American in terms of being born. I was born in St. Croix, so I'm an island boy. Okay. Virgin Islands, U.S. Virgin Islands, St. Croix. My parents immigrated from the island of St. Lucia. My dad was a pipe fitter welder. He worked in the refinery business all around the country. So my dad was, a traditional immigrant, blue collar, working in the grime. And back then, particularly the safety standards weren't near what they're today. So them guys were exposed to all kind of hazards that we weren't exposed to. You wouldn't be allowed to today. So I said that to say, like a lot of immigrants, my dad didn't want his son working with a coverall coming on smelly boots, right? He wanted me to have the job with a nice white collar shirt. And ironically, I tell people today that, to my dad's credit, his dad was a tradesman. He was a carpenter. He worked in the Panama Canal, worked many years in Panama. And I love being a tradesman. I love working with my hands. Now, I'm a science guy. Like most, I'll tell this is most young men, a lot of men, they're kinesthetic learners. They work with their hands and then they do it on paper. I'm the opposite. I'm more on my nerd stuff. I like seeing it on paper and then going out and do it. So I am a little opposite in that sense, right?
Yeah.
That's a question. I had an interest in it. I'm old enough when I was in St. Croix, before my dad moved us. I came out to Long Beach, California in my junior. I finished my senior high school here. But I'm old enough where we still had trades in the schools, right? And I remember wanting to look at electricity, maybe become an electrician, maybe electrical engineer, but I was afraid of the math. I just to answer your question, a lot of young, and I'm bringing that up because I want to live and make a point to tell the young men and women to please, don't let that be a deterrent. For one, the level of high-end calculus that Tariq and Jabril did in undergrad, you don't necessarily have to do that to be an electrician. Right? But I'm not saying you should be scared of it. What happened with me, Jabril, I was in Upper Bound program at Cal State Long Beach in high school. And Upper Bound forced me to take a pre-calc and a physics class. And guess what? I loved it. And I thrived at it. And I was like, oh, I can do this. Right. But so many of us, our young people, are scared by the STEM field, the science, technology, engineering, math. And we all know that's where it's at, man. You can write your own ticket. And when I mentor young people, I show them my paycheck sometimes. Or what I make from a job to say, like, particularly as black men, we're still often the first fired in terms of dynamics in the capitalist society, you know, and how racism, white supremacy affects the job marketplace. Youth dynamics are always going to be there. Even the brothers and sisters who are my mentors, who have advanced degrees in electrical engineering and so on, the ones I could call on who mentor me, they all deal with it. As I call it, the black tax. I've seen it in my entire career. We know that's just an existential thing you're going to deal with in this country. So having said that, I had an interest in it. I was afraid of it. In my early days, I didn't end up doing that. I went a different route. Tariq, you'll appreciate this. I thought I was pre-med my first year in college. So what I did is I wasn't sure if I wanted to do it. I went and got my EMT license so I could work in a hospital, and I did that. I got hired at a hospital here in Long Beach for Harriman Jones, and no longer around. Head nurse hired me on the spot.
Shout out to the EMTs.
Yeah, I told him pre-med, hired me on the spot, and I hated it. I was always the clinical side. I should clarify that. I didn't like the clinical side, but I tell young people, as I mentor my children, other people, your best, teacher's going to be experience, right? And try something out, and when you see, it gives you as much clarity of what you love as much as what you don't love. Did we lose Tariq? Or are you there?
No, he's still there. I think he should be back.
I just knew. Okay. Yeah. So that was kind of the genesis. So to be honest with you, brothers, I'm a little different because most tradesmen and women start right out of high school. Mom and dad was a plumber. Da da da. I didn't go that route. I got into trades in my mid 30s, right? And so, yeah, I don't know if that answered that question.
No, you definitely did. We talk a lot about pathways, on the show, and understand that when we think about success, first of all, success is subjective. You know what I'm saying? When you look at, okay, I want to make a lot of money, or I want to leave lasting impact. I want to be secure. I want to have all my bills paid. I want to look around a table at my family, have everybody be well fed, nobody be hungry at night, and be good. So when you really start to understand that, and then understand that the pathway to success is not a straight road. It's a winding road that has stops, has bumps, has twists and turns.
Yes, it's not linear.
You can see and appreciate a pathway such as yours that not so much for like things that happened that were hard, but the fact you went so many different directions. Pre-med, I started here, immigrant parents and everything, but found something that I not only like, but I'm good at, and also I can provide for myself and my family.
Yes.
And that kind of brings me to another question in regard to the incentive for those who are able to, or in the environment conducive to solar panels or solar energy. What does it take? Is there a certain amount of acreage or land that you should be looking to have to implement solar panels? And is there any incentive, or how are people maybe monetizing off of the energy generated? Because that is something that is kind of talked about now in different groups and things like that. A way to monetize or sell your energy.
All right, so you gave me the perfect lobs. I'm gonna take it and dunk it. Go Lakers! You're coming back. Yeah, I said it.
Come on now. Say it again.
I got it up. I digress. I apologize, fellas. All right. So you gave me the perfect Rajon Rondo to 80 lob. To go back to what I mentioned, to best explain it, I'm gonna try to go fast because I'm looking at the time and you're right. Boy, this goes by fast. I'm like, let's go out rap. Okay. So there are three types. Now I'm gonna put on not the career working in solar industry. I'm gonna speak to the potential consumers, right? Who may want solar for their home, business, off-grid, whatever. So I'm going to give you a quick spiel. Let me break it down. There are essentially three types of solar systems. 90% plus, probably close to 95% of all solar systems on all scales, residential, commercial, and utility scales, they're what we call grid tied. So there's a misnomer. So if I said, hey, Brother Tariq, if I come and put solar panels on your home, and you guys get hit with some heavy rains out there in Virginia, or somebody crashes into a transformer in your neighborhood and the power goes out in your whole neighborhood, everybody in your neighborhood is going to have power except you, right? That's a question to you, Tariq. Yeah. Okay, that's incorrect. You're going to be sitting,
See, that's why I'm not an engineer. Okay, bro.
No. It's a misnomer. Most people don't know. So that's why I'm here to clarify. You will be sitting in the dark like the rest of your neighbors, even with solar panels on your roof. and I'll explain why. Now, you don't necessarily have to, but I'll explain why. Going back to the grid type, the 3 types. First type is grid tied. The second type is grid tied with battery backup or battery storage. And then the third type is pure off-grid solar systems that are not tied to the grid at all. You guys with me? Now let's explain what does that mean.
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So you're pretty much saying there's the solar power that's connected to the grid and solar power that's not.
Correct. So there's 3 types. There's grid type. 95% of all systems, you see people, homes or businesses, those are grid tied. Meaning, it goes back to why people get solar. And this is my little spiel profile I've created for my customers. And most people want solar, and you could be one of these 3. Now, this is my little consumer profile, right? The reason most people get solar, a lot of people, is for a financial decision. A, I want to reduce my electricity bill, or I want to get rid of it. Does that make sense? It's a pure, I don't care about the technology, Jabril. I'm not a tree hugger. I just want to get, it's a financial decision.
The money, right?
The second profile, or what I call my tree huggers. Hey, I've done this. I've done multi-million-dollar homes, celebrity homes. They can, but paying an electricity bill is not an issue for them. Their electricity bill is not cost prohibitive. But hey, I want to reduce my carbon footprint. I want to plant my tree, blah, 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 right? So it's more of an it's an ecological decision. The third profile, or what I call my preppers, and there's a spectrum of them.
Right.
My preppers are like, hey, I want to be off grid because I want to be energy independent. I don't want to be paying no bill to somebody. I don't want where in the case of zombie apocalypse to a transformer in my home, or I live in Georgia or the Caribbean with a hurricane season coming. I'm sitting in the dark, like my mom, right? So I want a full off grid. And the reason I said there's a spectrum, we got from the guys like, hey, when I was coming up, hey, Obama's taking our guns, and the militia style ones, and to people who just, hey, I want to be off grid, I want to live an eco life. Does that make sense, guys? So let's go back to the first one. The reason I said, Brother Tariq, you would be sitting in the dark with the rest of your neighbors is because, Brother Jabril, when we put a solar system on your home, so the first thing it starts with, for everyone's listening, it starts with your electricity bill. What is the load? How much are you consuming? Because the average, I'll give you some numbers. I know both of you guys mathematicians, you have calculators. I mentioned to you the average wattage of a single individual solar panel today on any given company X is about 310 watts to maybe 350. We have some 400 watts, but those are the premium ones if you want to pay that extra premium. But on average, it'd be about 300, 315 watts per solar panel. Now, the average American home needs about 5.25 kilowatts, meaning 5,250 watts of electricity to essentially get rid of the electricity bill. So the median or average solar system that's installed in a United States home is about 5.25 kilowatts. So if you take 5,250 watts divided by 310 watts, that will tell you how many solar panels your house needs. Does that make sense? That's the metric we use. So the first thing when anyone says, hey, Mac, how much does the solar system cost? Well, I don't know. None of us would know. I need to know what your electricity, what your load is. Are you in a little apartment or, tiny home or is your home got 2 swimming pools? You got big welder, you got 2 5-ton HVAC, you got all CFL lights and no LED, you got 10 refrigerators that are not energy efficient. Does that make sense, brothers?
Absolutely.
It starts with your load. So we look at your electricity bill first. And then based on that, the next thing we look at, Jabril and Tariq, I look at your home. We use satellite imagery and all the different proprietary software platforms we use. Back in the day, old school, we would just get on the roof with this unit called a sun eye. And basically, we look at the irradiance map. And basically, we see, well, how much sunlight are you going to get on that roof? Now, on your roof, ideally, where we are in the United States, in terms of our azimuth on the planet, in the United States, you ideally want your solar panels to be facing south. If it can't face south, if your roof doesn't have a south face pitch, then we do west would be the second best option, and then east would be the third. We don't do north, obviously, because the north, if your back roof is facing the opposite way, the photon's not going to hit the panels. With few exceptions, if you have a flat roof, then we can put them on the north, and in some cases, we could even put a tilt kit to tilt them up. Looks like crap. I wouldn't do it. I don't do it, but that's an option, right? And so what I just described to you, beloved, that's the metric all solar companies use. You got to start with what the load is, and then I'm looking at the radiance map, whether I'm building a farm or a microgrid in the middle of a planet. So if you say, hey, brother, I'll build me one in the middle of Philly or one in Virginia, yeah, I could do. I have a big open plot. I got a car parking lot. You could do a parking lot structure. We could do that. But if you have skyscrapers that are shading and you're not getting good sunlight, right, then it's a moot point. The other metric we use, excuse me, in terms of sizing the system is how many hours of sunlight. So if I say, okay, brother, this south pitch of your roof gets sunlight, it's a good candidate, but you got trees shading it. Or based on where you are on the planet, you're not getting that many average. So the average we use, one of the other metrics tools we use, based on your zip code, I'm going to see how many average hours of sunlight you get, because those solar panels, the longer they have photons hitting them, the more they can produce, your bill. Make sense?
Absolutely.
Right. So that's grid tied, and that's kind of the metric in terms of how we size it. In the solar industry, we use it per watt. So now if I say, okay, well, Mr. Jibril Muhammad, I'm solar company X. You need 20 panels. The other company, you interview 3 companies. We should all come within the same number, saying based on your kilowatt hour usage, you need 8 solar panels, 10, 20, whatever, 30 solar panels, right? From there, that's where in terms of the marketplace, well, how much margin do I want to make versus the other company? The other thing too, with the larger companies, they're buy everything by volume, right? So they only have 1 panel to offer you. That's it and that's all. The small operators like myself, and I'm even small, I really do mine part-time, and we can get into that. You were referencing that question earlier, Tariq, because I want to clarify that too. We have the luxury that I can give you whatever you want. Do you want the 300 watt panel that may be the bottom tier in terms of price? Or hey, Mac, I want the Rolls Royce. Some people say, no, I want my bag. Give me the 400 watt. I want the top of the line. I mean, we do. And like any other business, to your customers, right?
Right.
But my point is, any solar module you get in the United States are going to be relative. You ain't going to go wrong. So that's a metric in terms of, from there, just what the quality, one of the things for me becoming a tradesman, while I referenced earlier with my dad, that I love, when you build something, you can walk away from it and say, I built that, it's more fulfilling than anything. And I reference all my ancestors, our ancestors, from the United States to the Caribbean, to the diaspora, to the Nile Valley, to West Africa. We've been builders, we're the original builders of civilization on the planet, period. Full stop, no equivocation. And when you study particular stuff like Nile Valley, where we were taking these huge tons of rocks and building pyramids and other structures and edifices, and their level of precision is crazy. Where when you do the math on it, it's, so I reference that even when I do my work and how I teach and train young brothers and sisters in the trades to move in perfection as best as you can attain that, right? I do run a show on time, so let me finish the other 2. Grid tie with battery backup. So let me explain why the battery goes on. So, Jibril, and Tariq, you have your solar system working in the house. We build it, it gets commissioned with the city, we pull the permits, you have a net meter agreement, blah, blah, blah. The way what net metering is, when you get solar at your home, it's called net metering, meaning it's there to reduce your bill. All the power that's produced during the daytime, sun up to sundown, it gets aggregated and then it feeds the home. Now, what happens often, your system is going to produce more power than your home needs, right? And it's going to say, what do you want me to do with that excess electricity? What it does, beloved brothers, it sends the power back to the utility, turning your meter backward, giving you credits. So from January to December, you're depositing credits of kilowatt hour back to the utility. At the end of the year, the utility says, well, hey, Tariq, you guys use whatever 10,000 kilowatt hours, but your solar system created 12,000 kilowatt hours in terms of what you harness over that year, right?
Right.
So guess what? You're on a $2,000 positive. Now, back in the day, they would cut you a check, and some utilities don't still do that. I want to make sure it depends on where you are in the country. Some utilities don't do that. They will just give you a credit and roll it over. Other utilities will send you a check. One of my cousins, he brags every day, Mac, he got grandfathered in with SoCal Edison. They're paying me $50 every year, and I love it. He just loves, So that's grid tied. But the reason when the grid goes down, think about it, guys. The solar system is feeding power to your main service panel. Your utility is feeding power to the main service panel. Somebody hits a transformer, the utility goes down. What would happen then, Tariq, if the line is down and a lineman goes to fix that power line, but Tariq or Jabril's power solar system is still backfeeding onto that utility grid. What will happen? The transformer would take that power, step it up, and you just electrocuted alignment. You understand? That's what would happen. So solar systems, grid-tied systems, are designed. And by the way, that what I just described is called islanding. It's called islanding, where a grid is down, but your system is still backfeeding. So to make it simple, that cannot happen today. All inverters, which is the device that takes the DC inverts to the AC and feeds your home, when it senses the grid is down, by design, it shuts down. That's why, Tariq, you would be sitting in the dark with your neighbors, because it's designed to do that. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Okay. So let me just take a quick on that because I know. So the grid tied would back up, it would still shut down, but you have backup batteries that would feed your solar system through the batteries. And then the off-grid system is where you're not tied to the grid at all. You're in a cabin, you're a microgrid, you just, hey, I'm a prepper or whatever. I don't want to be paying no utility. And then that whole system is designed around batteries, because the solar power will take it, and rather than sending it back to the grid, it stores in the battery and it saves it, and then the inverter pulls power from the battery to feed your loads. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes,
Those are the three different types, beloved.
Wow. All right. We definitely we appreciate this I like this episode because I felt more like a student. I felt more like a student than any. You can't hear me?
I can't hear you.
1 second.
Yeah.
Hold on. Thank you, family, for your patience working through a few technical difficulties. Brother just broke that down. He's talking about grid tied with the battery backup and off grid in terms of the ways you can utilize solar power for your home or for your residence, for your commercial, and even for the utility aspect. So that was definitely very well said. Like I said, I'm geeking out just on this and everything. It's something I've been interested in for a while, just for alternative energy sources. Tariq, did you
yeah, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, sir. You good?
Excellent. Yeah, so we got a few more things I wanted to talk about before we end the show. I know you brought some more show and tell stuff behind you. So what are some of the products you can make using solar technology?
So I'll show you guys one real quick here. So the one that just answered earlier was about, I mentioned the 18650 cells. We take these, we put them together, we solder them, we put what's called a battery management circuit board to protect it from charging and discharging, and then we made it with an inverter. So these are what we call cylindrical cells. These are one styles that power Tesla cars. Tesla Model S has about 400 of these put in series and pack, and then 16 of those packs. So 400 of them is put in individual pack, 16 put in a pack to power a car. This is what we call a prismatic cell. These are lithium iron phosphate cells. This is a battery management circuit board. And again, I could put each of these at 3.3 volts. I could put 4 in series for 12 volt. I can make it 24 volt, 48 volt, power a home, whatever, business. Then
reminds me of the Tesseract of the Avengers.
Correct.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's going old school. And this is here. This is for one of my customers. I just did a crew came back from Alabama. This is also a toolbox from Home Depot, and inside it has 4 lights. I have receptacles for AC power.
Nice.
I have DC, my USB ports, my 12 volt.
No, you're good. Just hold it up to your face, then where you can see it. There you go.
Yeah, it has a fan on here to cool it down. On the back here, we could input solar, or I could charge it in my wall. If you just have it ready as a bug out, take it out, whatever you want to do. And we can build these to any scale. This is the smallest one. This one is just powered by a 400-watt inverter. So your 400-watt inverter can power, anything 400 watts, a CPAP machine, your laptop, your computer, a TV. You want to just take out camping, tailgating, whatever. You can do stuff like that. But again, this is a 400-watt inverter in here. This one, this is an inverter. This is how we use one. This is a 1200-watt pure sine inverter. This can power if you were in a bug out situation, 1,200 watts can power virtually everything in your home, from your microwave to TV to a vacuum, so on and so forth. But my point is, we build these. You can purchase these from 2,000 watts, 3,000. It's really up to your budget and your scale of what you want to do. And then we made it however many batteries or how big a battery pack. So that's the beauty of solar, that the scalability. There's no other technology. Even the other renewable ones like geothermal, I can't take a geothermal aquifer with me. I can't take. There are some handheld hydro units, but I need a river. Well, the Earth is 196,940,000 square miles.
Yes,
The
sir.
sun is going to hit all of that. So anywhere on the
Right,
planet
right.
Earth, you can lay out a solar panel and you can produce electricity.
Yes,
The last thing I'll mention is a shout out to one of my mentors, the Tommy Nealon from Greece. This is called a Cool Breeze Solar Hard Hat. This is a hard hat, has 2 fans, that's actually powered by solar cells. And if you guys go on Cool Breeze, because we're part of a collective, Tommy Nealon is one of the original OGs in the solar industry. He had a company, him and his wife Bernice had a company called Unlimited Energy, 30 years. This brother pioneered so many stuff in the solar industry. At one point, he had the most efficient solar farm in the world. And him and his wife now essentially build solar-powered hats, floppy straw hats, and this is he's one of my mentors. I was able to get one of the first prototypes, but this is a hard hat, man. It has batteries in here, fan. So our young children can see the opportunities are endless, guys.
I have a quick question on that. As we close the show, we're at 7, family. It's been great. We at that hour, but there's a final question about that hard hat. So I do work in naval shipyards, naval bases. Is that a prototype or is it cleared for like mass production?
No, it's cleared. It's 100% cleared. Now the only limitation is, in construction and the OSHA ratings, different hard hats are rated for different things. So this is C rated. You could use it for general construction. I couldn't necessarily use it for electrical because at the end of the day, even though these are what we call thin film amorph cells, and this is really just a barely 12-volt circuit, so it's really low voltage. There's no real harm that you're going to get electrocuted from this. There's not. Let me say that definitively. But it still doesn't necessarily meet the E-rated hard hat, but it is rated for C, for general construction. Let me tell you.
Okay. Awesome.
And the beauty of it, his other hard hats, as soon as you sit in the sun, it turns the fan. This one actually has a battery in there, so you can work indoors to keep you cool if you're in a hot environment, even without the solar cell.
Awesome.
Nice. All right, family. Well, first and foremost, thank you, Brother McPherson, for joining us tonight. We definitely plan to have you back on the platform again in the future.
Can't wait.
And to be working with you on the business side of things as well with our company, Original Man Scientific. So at the end of the show, we like to do this thing called the STEM File Speed Round, and it's pretty much a part of the show where we get to know you a little bit more outside of what you do in solar technology. So you ready for it?
I'm so ready. Actually, I saw that. I didn't want to cheat. Yeah, I'm ready. Let's go.
All right, cool.
I got opinions. I got to be controversial. Can't wait. Go ahead.
Let's get it started. Okay, cool. Jabril, you want to start it off?
Yeah, I got you. All right. First thing you do when you wake up in the morning?
I thank the Creator for the life of breath, man. My father passed away about a couple months ago. So at my age, I'm 46. At this age of my life, you do a lot of reflection on mortality and your legacy and a man, and I've been reflecting a lot on him. So
yes, sir. Thank you.
Shout out to the mighty ancestor, Joseph Aldonza. Rest in power, Dad.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely.
Hot or cold?
Hot. Tropical. I'm a tropical man, brother.
Baked or grilled?
Say it again.
Baked or grilled?
Grilled.
Yep.
Okay.
But grilled.
Tariq, go ahead.
Yeah, I got you. Okay, now this question, the answer to this question will determine how I do anything in the future with you and anything that you got going on. Okay, iPhone or Android?
Come on, baby. Android all day. Android all day. Okay, come on. Great minds think alike, right? Come on, we know it. I'm not part
I
of the
knew,
Apple.
I knew I could trust you, bro. I knew it.
I must not be a great mind because I'm the iPhone over here, man.
I own a single product, my iPad. And that's all.
That's the same. Me too. That's all I got is that's Apple. It's iPad. That's it. I don't mess with nothing else. All right, cool. What's your favorite thing to cook?
My kids will tell you I make a mean salmon pasta. Yeah, smoked salmon with it's slap your mama good. Slap your daddy good.
Slap your mama good.
Slap your daddy. No, don't be slapping your mama. Guys, that was figurative language. Don't slap anybody, please. Definitely not your mama your dad.
Oh my God. All right. What's your favorite song of all time?
Okay, so let's go there. I heard the hip hop. I don't have on that. That's too broad. So if I'm dying and you say, if I'm on my deathbed and I say play a song, it'll probably be a reggae song, old school roots like Bob Marley, Steel Pulse, something like that. Probably Bob Marley.
Nice.
Jabril, what you got?
All right. Let's see. Step back or spin move.
Wait, who?
Step back or spin move.
Step back or
spin.
Step back or spin move.
Oh, step back or spin. I hate James Harden's play, so let me say it. Yes. Shots fired in Houston Rockets. A spin move. And I'm Kobe all day. Spin move, yes.
Okay.
Why does everybody talk about James Harden when you bring that question up?
Shots fired.
You know it's gonna go there. What?
Oh my God.
Average 40 on the step back.
Ask me about hip hop. Come on.
All right. Okay.
I got more controversy for you.
Okay.
All right. Oh, go ahead, bro.
Sci-fi or horror?
Oh, sci-fi all day. I don't even do horror. I stopped watching horror movies when I was about 19 because the majority of people in Hollywood got sick play. Now, your guy who did like Get Out stuff, so next level stuff, I can get with gore and all that. I think movies are a form of artwork, and that art speaks to those people in them. I don't want that mess in my brain. So no, sci-fi all day. All day.
Yeah, there's definitely like a certain generation of horror movies I like. Like I like the screams, the child's plays, all that. But like once it starts getting all weird and sadistic and just that's when I draw the line with that. But I like all the classics.
Yeah.
The Freddy Kruegers and all that.
Okay.
All right, I got one more before I turn it over to Tariq. Now this will determine whether I like you or not.
Yes.
No injuries aside, both healthy and prime. Brian or KD?
Oh, man. Brian or who?
Or KD?
Oh.
Please say KD, please.
Brian all day, every day.
Let's go. And
I'll tell you why. Listen, Kevin Durant. I'll give you this, Tariq. Kevin Durant
was doing so good.
I give you this. KD is the only guy. Let me give you this caveat. Let me give you this bone. He makes the most comfortable sneakers. I got about 3 pair of them, and I love them. It's like walking out. I give you that.
Okay. Swag up.
Shout out to your shoes, KD. Come on, ask me the hip hop one. That's the one I want to get.
Okay.
I'm chopping at the bit.
All right, I got you. All right, so if you were stuck on an island for a year and you could only listen to 3 albums, what would they be?
So that was so this is one I'm gonna dig into crates, very obscure. You guys never heard of it, but please go check it out. My boy Saul Williams. Saul Williams is that poet. This movie came out called Slam years when you guys were babies. He has his debut album is called Amethyst Rockstar. Amethyst the Rock, meaning Black Rockstar. Rick Rubin actually produced it. That's on the island. I love that album. It's a mix of you check it out. Amethyst Rockstar by Saul Williams. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So Bob Marley. If I had to hip hop, I'm an old school head, guys. I want my PE, Brand Nubian.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Paris, hello. Black Panther hip hop, shout out to Oscar X. I see you, brother. Cube. I gotta give the West Coast some love. I'm about content, guys. So I came up in the golden age, and I respect the young guys. Some of them, but I don't even blame them. I think a lot with the music industry today, they push a lot of just the madness on our people, and they don't allow the breath that my generation had. That if you wanted gangster stuff, if you wanted true life, but we also had to uplift it. We had a balance, and that's what I see today.
Yeah, I feel you on that. Like most of my rap catalog is like stuff from that time period. You know, whether it's conscious rap or, you know, quote unquote gangster rap. Like I gotta, as long as it's from that era, like that's most of my catalog on my phone.
I'm on it. My babies know. But my favorite genre of music is probably roots reggae. I just like conscious music that speaks to my soul, that edifies us, edifies the black woman. That's what I'm about, bro. All day, every day, unapologetically.
Yes, yeah, like Outkast when they first came out.
Oh, come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on, man. AT-Aliens.
They destroyed Christmas, and that, I can't remember the name of that song.
That's my top 5. So let me cut to my controversial statement. Biggie Smalls is not even in my top 10. Yes, I said it, New York. Yeah, I said it. Yeah. So now y'all can kick you off the show.
Hold up. Let's bring this back. Let's bring this back.
Top 10. Yeah, I said
it. We have a problem now. So
no, we can't go too long.
Yeah. I'm from New York, so you can't say you can't just say Biggie's not in your top 10. We got a huge issue now. So okay, you got to give me a reasoning. Why is Biggie not in the top 10?
Because he enjoys his bias that you got to put him on his pedestal with 2 albums. Let me tell you my top 10 easily. Okay. God. Jay-Z's up there. Nas, my son was named after him. My son's name is Nasir. Nas, Jigga. Jay-Z's 2 albums, again, it's going back to what he said. Jay-Z has certain songs where his flow is as perfect top 3 of all time. But what I wait is your content. And this brother did a lot of stuff that to me is just problematic that I can't get into then when I was you guys' age. So I'm not the old throwing rocks at the kids. And to me, 2 albums is not about it work to put them there. I don't feel that way. My top 3 actually revolving. I think KRS-One is up there for me because the breadth of this brother. If I had to pick a perfect rap album to go in a time capsule, it would be Microphone Theme, probably just in terms of someone riding a beat and you know. If I had to put a sticker rap album to go in a time capsule, it would be PE. It Takes a Nation. No one would accuse Chuck D of being the greatest rapper, but as an album, conceptually and everything, sonically. So I got a lot of controversial takes. But
do you think Big would have had a better? Do you think he would have had more of an opportunity to contribute more if he lived longer?
Yes,
do you think Big would have that spot?
Thank you for affording me the opportunity to say that to balance the scales. Because rest in peace, Big. Him and Tupac. People put him and Tupac one, but Tupac to be not greatest rapper either. Tupac is the most prolific.
Yeah.
Easily. And you could go any part in the planet, people know Tupac. And I believe those brothers' life have people. We all born to die in a sense of, no pun intended, to serve their purpose. But yeah, that's the tragedy, right? Tupac died at 25. I don't know what Biggie was in his 20s, young. His brothers were babies.
Yeah. 24.
Yeah. So you see guys like Snoop and Cube and these guys, and Jay-Z for that matter, Nas, who now are elder statesmen. Those guys are my contemporaries. They're close to my age. And you see them grow and evolve, and the stuff Jay-Z rap now in 444 is not close to what he was rapping on Reasonable Doubt, right? You've seen that growth and evolution. And yeah, so yes, I absolutely believe Christopher Wallace would have been there. But for me, those 2 albums, there's stuff on there that's just jewels. Like when you talk about a perfect rhyme to beat, my very biggest one probably is Warning. Dude, who the F is this? Calls me 5:46 in the morning. Man, that's perfect. When you ride in a beat with lyrics, it's like Rakim. I was a fiend before I became a teen. I met the microphone. It's a time where it's outcast, where it's just like, oh my, it seems almost like, some next level, like the stars aligned. It's perfect symbiosis, right? And when you listen to I Love Supreme or something like that, and it's just like, wow. So Biggie's had those moments. Absolutely, I'll give the ancestor that, but body of work, nah. I can't.
Gotcha.
Awesome. So with that, family, we want to ask you one last question and we close it out. Thank everyone for bearing with us. This has been dope on a number of levels. I got my answer that I wanted, so I'm good. But so my name is McPherson Aldonza, and I am.
I'm blessed to be alive, man. I want to do my part, do my duty for us as a people, for humanity, in terms of us setting this right. And I'm honored to be here.
Awesome, man. That was beautiful, bro. Listen, family, this has been another edition of the STEM Files. To brilliant engineer Tariq Cardiac here with our big brother and now mentor, at least for me, but McPherson. We are here every Thursday and Saturday, 6 p.m. The voice of STEM talent and Black culture. Follow us on Instagram at the STEM Files, on Facebook at the STEM Files, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, the STEM Files, as well. Shout out to National Network View as well for hosting this show. Family, it's been an awesome time. Until next time on Thursday. Brother McPherson, how can the people get a hold of you if they're interested in learning more about what you do, doing something business-wise, or just learning more?
Yeah, so for right now, I'd say just reach out to me on Facebook under McPherson Aldonza as we speak. I'll probably launch my website in a couple of weeks. It'll be sunkofa.com or Sunkofa Solar. Both URLs will work, and that's SUNKOFA. So twist on Sankofa. So that's not up yet. If you Google Sunkofa, there's a Sunkofa Energy. They're a company out of Madrid, Spain. That's not me. I actually tried to get my domain name, but no. But because we're in the stages, I don't do this full time yet, brother. So that's part of, and there's so many ways to go with it. But we're gonna take it to the next level. And yeah, in at least a couple weeks, you'll be able to SunkofaSolar.com will be launched. Sunkofa.com, both URLs work. But if you need to reach out to me, you can just reach out to me through Messenger on Facebook under McPherson Aldonza.
What about your email?
Likewise, I can reach me on Facebook, and then I'll email you personally. When I get Sunkofa website out, I'll have the company email, probably info@sunkofa.com.
Can they reach you at that email below for right now?
Yeah. Yes, you can reach me there, or actually info@sunkofa.com does work too.
Okay.
Info@sunkofa.com. SUNKOFA.
Excellent, excellent. Well, as your bro mentioned, we are the STEM Files, where we highlight the best and brightest in science and technology, engineering, and mathematics, the voice of STEM talent and Black culture. I'm your host, Tariq Cardiac, Jabrain Engineer. This has been another edition of the STEM Files. Thank you so much, Mr. Aldonza, for your time, and we hope to have you back for a part 2.
You better.
Look forward to working with you in the future. All right?
Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate it. It's been an honor in my life. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right.
Peace,
Peace and blessings.